When creating flashcards with Migaku, it's ultimately up to you to decide when to create cards and what information to include on them. However, since there's so much that can be customized, it can be easy to get lost or simply do something suboptimally. In this video, we will talk about what an ideal flashcard might look like and how to adjust them to your needs and preferences. Let's get a little overview of what great flashcards look like, and then we can go into a bit more detail as to why we recommend you to set up your cards like this. Great flashcards start with what we call a one-target sentence. This refers to a sentence that contains only one new piece of information, whether that new information is a vocabulary word, grammar point, phrase, or sentence structure. Let's take a look at an example. You are learning English and already have a few words and grammar structures under your belt. You already learned the words my, new, and car, and have also learned that the third person singular form of to be is. And then you encounter the sentence, my new car is red. In this sentence, the only unknown thing to you is the word red, which is the target word of the sentence. Because the sentence has only one target, it is a one-target sentence. When you create a flashcard, there are some essential things you'll want to have on them, and also some supplementary information that you may choose to add in some scenarios. The essential components that every flashcard you make should have are as follows. On the front of every flashcard, you should have a one-target sentence and a target word. To reuse our example from above, this would mean that we have the sentence, my new car is red, and also the target word red on the front of the card. On the back of the card, you'll want the definition of the target word. Using our current example above, we'd have a definition for the word red. With just this key information, we already have everything we need for an effective flashcard, but we can make that flashcard even better with some additional information. On the back of the card, we recommend that you also add an audio recording of the target word, an audio recording of the whole sentence, which might either be an audio snippet of the video you were watching or high quality AI generated audio, as well as an image related to the target word or sentence. All this information can be automatically added to your cards by Migaku, so adding any supplementary information that you find helpful to your cards is very easy. For fine-tuning, you can also manually add any notes you want to the back of the card, like where you found the sentence or what was happening in the scene the sentence was sourced from, for example. There's also the option to have Migaku automatically add additional example sentences to the back of your card as an additional reference if you wish as well. Flashcards should be input-based, meaning that they should be used to test your ability to comprehend something in your target language. They should not be output-based, meaning require you to produce a word or sentence in your target language given some prompt in your native language. The flashcard we just finished describing, which have the target word and sentence on their front side and information that allows you to check your comprehension of that word and sentence on their backside, is an example of a well-formulated input-based flashcard. And lastly, you should only create one card per word in almost every circumstance. We will explain the exceptions to this general rule later. But for example, for the flashcard we just talked about with the target word red, we wouldn't create more flashcards with red as their target word. Now that we know what a good flashcard should look like, let's go into a bit more detail as to why we've made these recommendations. The first instinct many people have when trying to learn with flashcards is often to create simple vocabulary cards with the word on the front and its definition on the back. We don't recommend doing this for most words for a few reasons. Most words have multiple meanings, sometimes even dozens of them. If all the context you have on the front of the flashcard is an isolated word, it's not clear what information about the word you need to recall. For example, if a word has 5 meanings, are you supposed to recall all of them? If so, we can't even really consider such a flashcard to be one target, because it is requiring you to recall multiple things, which makes reviewing such flashcards more difficult and slower. Including the context sentence on a flashcard makes it clear which meaning of the target word needs to be recalled. which is the one that allows you to understand the context sentence. Words are almost never used in isolation. When you learn words on their own without context, you don't learn how they combine with other words. A full sentence helps you remember not only the word, but also how it's used in the language. Words alone are harder to remember because they become more abstract and require to imagine how they might be used. Learning a new word within a sentence adds context and removes any guesses about how it might be used in the language, which makes it easier to remember. This question often comes up, so let's talk about it. Why do we not recommend you to create flashcards with your native language on the front and the target language on the back? The reason why many people want to use these types of cards is that they see them as a way to practice output. However, the skill you are actually practicing when using these types of flashcards is translation, and not outputting in your target language. When you reach a higher level in your target language and can speak and write it, you won't be translating ideas from your native language to your target language in order to output. You will instead be thinking directly in your target language when speaking and writing. Using flashcards with your native language on the front can also be a waste of time because your goal should be to stop translating in your head relatively early on in the learning process. If you build the habit of constantly translating from your native language into your target language via flashcards, you may hinder or delay the development of your ability to think directly in your target language. Another issue is that most target language to native language bilingual dictionary definitions are often just a list of possible translations of the target language word. For example, if you look up the Japanese word kofu in your native language, you will see various meanings listed for it, such as delivery, handing over, submitting, etc. However, these meanings given for the word are better thought of as potential translations for the word kofu in different contexts. They actually fail to capture the nuanced meaning of the word, which is for an authoritative body such as a government office to deliver or hand over documents or paperwork to another party. However, if you were rather to learn this word within a context sentence, you will see this nuance because of how the word is being used in the sentence itself. Similarly, you may find that your target language contains multiple words that translate to the same word in your native language. For example, when learning Japanese, if the front of your card reads delivery, the back of your card could be haitatsu, kofu, haiso, dentatsu, or shusan. All of these words can be translated as delivery, but they refer to different types of deliveries and are not interchangeable. A final reason is that it requires more mental bandwidth to take information in your native language and use it to recall and produce your target language than it does to listen or read your target language and simply understand what is being said. Again, this is the same reason why everyone has a much larger passive vocabulary than their active vocabulary. It is far more efficient, which means you will learn more and more quickly by focusing on simply increasing your passive vocabulary through input-based flashcards and naturally letting your active vocabulary increase at the same time. Because even if you acquire the ability to produce various words in your target language by studying output-based flashcards, you will still not be able to effectively speak or write your target language until you have built a comfortable level of comprehension in it through input. Another thing that many people do is to create multiple flashcards per target word. We do not recommend you to do this. Here's why. The goal of using flashcards to learn new words is to give you a rough understanding of what words mean and how they are used, thereby enabling you to understand more of the content you consume. To truly understand and internalize any given word, you need to encounter it repeatedly in hundreds or maybe even upwards of 1,000 sentences. Even 5 flashcards per word is just a drop in the ocean. Another issue is time. You'll need to learn around 1,500 words to recognize roughly 80% of the words you see in most content you consume. If you created 3 cards per word, in other words, 4,500 flashcards, it would take you 3 times as long to learn those 1,500 words compared to someone who had only created 1 card per word. Furthermore, your comprehension of those words by studying those 4,500 flashcards instead of 1,500 flashcards would only be marginally better than the person who only studied 1 flashcard per word. However, the person who is studying only 1 flashcard per word will have learned far more words than you did when they reach 4,500 flashcards. With this in mind, we recommend that you do the bare minimum possible with flashcards. The primary goal you have with flashcards is to become quickly able to start consuming content. Remember, the real learning happens when you get input in your target language. Even though we just said that you should only create one flashcard per word, there are exceptions. These exceptions are words that can have vastly different meanings depending on how they are used. Take the Japanese word kakaru, for example, which has a ton of different usages and distinct meanings. In jikan ga kakaru, kakaru expresses the idea that something takes a certain resource to do. In this case, the resource jikan, which means time. So jikan ga kakaru can be translated as it takes time. In kabe ni chizu ga kakatteiru, it is used to express that something hangs on something. This sentence means a map hangs on the wall. These are almost like entirely different words that just happen to both be pronounced kakaru. So it's okay to create multiple flashcards that reflect the word's various meanings. I hope that this video helped you understand how great flashcards are structured and why we recommend you to create flashcards like these. But wait, any seasoned Migaku user has probably already started furiously typing in the comment section. What about the other card types Migaku offers? How are those used? That is true. Besides sentence cards, Migaku also offers sentence audio cards, word cards, and word audio cards. We'll discuss these card types in a later video in this series, which is also linked in the description of this video. Having said that, sentence cards will be most learners' bread and butter for various reasons, which is why we focus on explaining them in this video. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, see you in the next video.